If you're like us and want to retire young, then listening to the mainstream media drone on about paying into your pension will be to the detriment of your life goals.
In previous episodes, we've talked about the magical 500 grand investment pot that should be able to pay you 20 grand a year until you kick the bucket. However, if you had listened to conventional financial advisors, you would have no access to this money if you retired young, as you would have thought the sensible approach would be to save it in a pension.
You could even be a pension millionaire and still be living on the breadline, as the money is locked away, out of reach, until old age. Does that mean that pensions are completely useless for retiring young? We think in the right circumstances they can be very useful, but how much should you use them?
And what is the main alternative retirement savings vehicle? That's what we're talking about in this video. Let's check it out.
Welcome to moneyandshackled.com, the investment and finance channel and website that sets you and your finances free.
That was Andy and I'm Ben, and if you like what we say, hit the like button and click subscribe.
What is early retirement? Firstly, you need to be clear on what you mean by early retirement. Early retirement is very ambiguous and means different things to different people. Conventional financial advice that you read and hear in the news assumes that you are the same as everyone else.
That you are incapable of successfully steering your financial life and have no alternative but to retire at state pension age, which for most of our audience will be set at 68 and likely to increase. When a typical journalist talks about early retirement, they are usually describing someone who quits work sometime in their late 50s.
For us, it means financial freedom as soon as possible, and we're realistically planning to achieve this while still in our 30s. It is the freedom to choose whether to work or not without money being an issue. Right now, we are very happy to continue working because we're working every day on our own dreams, not toiling the mine for someone else.
Use pensions alongside your ISA. Many people think that pensions are a complete waste of time for early retirement. But if used alongside other investing vehicles, such as an ISA, they could be a very smart tool for achieving that sacred early retirement.
All you need to do is plan your withdrawals from the ISA in a way that ensures it survives until the day that you can access your pension. You can even run down the value of your ISA completely, as long as the pension is large enough to maintain the 4% safe withdrawal rate when you come to use it.
Say you're 45 and ready to retire immediately. You have a pot of £500,000 and are happy to live on 20 grand a year. You should ignore the state pension. This can be a nice bonus if it still exists by the time you're 68.
You'd be 13 years away from being able to access your private pension at 58. We'll assume you have £500,000 spread across an ISA worth £150,000 and a self-invested personal pension known as a SIPP valued at £350,000. With £500,000, you should theoretically be able to withdraw a sustainable income of £20,000 per year.
But hold your horses, only the ISA is accessible, and withdrawing 20 grand a year from here would result in the ISA running out before you can access the SIPP.
At such a rapid withdrawal rate, you would either end up on the streets or worse, having to go back to work, as the SIPP pot is untouchable at this moment in time.
The solution. With advanced planning, you could solve this problem by just building up the entire 500 grand pot in an ISA. But the trouble is that it will be much harder to do. Pensions do come with some truly incredible tax reliefs that really do help your freedom pot to skyrocket. If you have no desire to retire early, then a pension will be your retirement account of choice. But for those who do intend to enjoy life, you will need to start planning now.
To carry on this example, our 45-year-old friend would need at least £235,000 in his ISA and £265,000 in his SIPP. The money in the SIPP can grow at 8% nominal returns or 5% real return each year for 13 years and will reach a value of £500,000 in today's money by the time he hits 58.
He could immediately start withdrawing 20 grand a year from the ISA with an assumed real annual return of 5%. And it would run out just in time for him to access his pension at 58. This pension would by then have grown big enough to survive in perpetuity. Sweet.
What split will you need by age? Here are the amounts that you would need to have saved in each account to be able to retire now. For the sake of simplicity, we have ignored taxation on the pension drawdowns because at £500,000 the tax is negligible. This is because you get a 25% tax-free lump sum and then the remaining withdrawals will be mostly covered by the personal allowance and dividend allowance. We'll make this table available on our site to download as a spreadsheet where you can change the figures to suit your own situation. We'll put the link in the description below.
As you can see, the younger you are, the less you need in the pension and the more you need in an ISA. Don't forget, the ISA amounts required are the minimum. It's okay to tilt the numbers from what it says here, so more is in the ISA and less in the pension, but it doesn't work the other way around.
We currently have a great offer on our website. If you sign up to a Nutmeg SIPP or ISA account via our link, you will get the first 6 months with 0 management fees. There's also loads more offers that will help you invest, such as free shares worth up to £200, so check out the Money in Shackled offers page linked in the description below.
Supercharged tax boost. Pensions give you the relief up front and ISAs give you a tax break later. For instance, you're required to pay tax on your pension when you draw an income during retirement, but get the tax relief when you initially pay into the pension, normally by not having tax deducted from your salary as it enters the pension, but with a SIPP, it will be topped up by the government.
Pension top-ups result in a 25% gain for basic taxpayers and a 67% gain for those on the higher rate. An ISA, on the other hand, is investing with after-tax income, but there will be no further tax on it, ever.
A lot of people say that pensions are better than ISAs because of that incredible initial boost from the tax system. They believe this means that pensions give you more money to compound over the years. With all things being equal, this is wrong.
The maths is quite complex, but a worked example demonstrates it perfectly. Here you can see that a salary of £1,000 becomes just £800 for the ISA saver and remains at £1,000 for the SIPP investor. The after-tax salary is then invested in both scenarios and earns a compound annual growth of 8% for 10 years. At this point, the SIPP is now worth considerably more than the ISA pot.
On withdrawal, there is no further tax for the ISA, but the SIPP will incur tax. In this example at 20%. By the magic of maths, the final after-tax value is the same no matter which account was used.
In the real world, we've just proved that with all things being equal, there is no difference between a pension and an ISA. However, things are never equal. Pensions currently allow a 25% tax-free lump sum. You'll have no job in retirement, so any pension income will likely be covered by the personal tax allowance.
And after this, it will likely fall into the lower tax bracket, which benefits those who built their pension whilst in the higher tax bracket. So based on this, pensions usually are the best retirement vehicle, but it is highly likely that a future government will fiddle with these rules to your disadvantage.
Maximise tax efficiency and minimise contributions. As we've demonstrated, the timing of your pension contributions makes no difference. You could have the money invested in an ISA for 10 years and then move it into a pension and receive tax relief instantly. The annual pension contribution limit is currently 100% of your income with a cap of £40,000.
A little unknown gem is that you can use Carry Forward. Carry Forward lets you take advantage of any unused allowance from the previous 3 tax years. Including the current tax year, that means that you could make a contribution of £160,000 into your pension and receive the full tax relief.
This is why there is no urgency to save into a pension above what your employer will match, because you can do it later and still get the benefit.
Problem with retiring early. Retiring early creates a triple whammy problem. Not only does your money have to last longer, but you've also had less time to build it up.
Every year extra that you decide to spend in retirement means 1 year more spending, 1 year less earning, and 1 less year of compound growth. So, for us, early retirement or financial freedom means never running down the investment pot. Plus, it leaves a large amount at the end for our loved ones to inherit. To my unborn grandchildren, you are welcome.
Killer advantage of a workplace pension. Our examples on pensions up until now have failed to take into account one killer benefit: employer top-ups. A workplace pension has a number of clear advantages over other investment vehicles. Firstly, your employer will match your contributions up to a certain percentage, essentially giving you a 100% return immediately. This alone is enough to make pensions worthwhile.
We are no longer employees, but previously we always took advantage of this benefit by paying into the pension up to the maximum that our employers would match, no more, no less. You want to ensure that you grab as much of this extra free salary that you can. while ensuring you are still building up your freedom fund in your ISA.
Question of the day: how are you preparing for early retirement? Let us know in the comments below.
Thanks for watching. On this channel we talk about personal finance, investing and all things money. And if you want to see more great content, please click the subscribe button below.
This is MoneyUnshackled.com. See you next time.